Hey everyone, I'm Tasiah, and I am here with John Henry of Darkest Hour. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you. Fortunately, the snow has made that a little hard.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing everyone I know from the East Coast is posting all these snow pictures. It's
Kind of
beautiful.
escaped. Yeah. So it's late January right now, but upcoming next in February, you're releasing your album, Perpetual Terminal. Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Really? How so? How long have you been writing it for?
This was I think the longest period in between albums. I mean, partially because of the pandemic, but we just took a really long time. This is our first album that we're self-producing, and so we kind of like took a lot of time to write it, to record it, to demo it. So it's been a minute. Our last one was 2017, so this is a big. That's a big. That's a long time for us.
Yeah. What's it like being self-produced right now?
Yeah, it's really great. We've been doing the band for since '95, so 20. I lose track of how many years that is, but
9, I
28,
think.
28, 29. Um, so it's really great. We this is the first time we've kind of really had the full control of all the writing and how we want to make it, the recording and everything. So it's kind of like I don't know, a recall back to our early days as a band when we were just doing everything ourselves. It's kind of come full circle in a way.
Speaking of the fact that it's almost Darkest Hour's 30-year anniversary, like what kept you guys going for so long?
I think we just love it too much. We it's like we can't quit it. Like I think this is every time we put out a new record, every time we go on tour, every time we play a show, it's we're reminded like how lucky we are to be able to do this. And so I don't know, it's this kind of addictive feeling to put music out and have it connect with people and perform it in front of people. And it's something that we're always we just love it. We can't stop.
Do you have anything to say that's maybe newer bands who aren't as old as Darkest Hour, like what can get them to their 30-year mark?
I mean, yeah, don't stop. I don't know. That's it. Just keep going.
Yeah. So, back to your newest album, Perpetual Terminal. What separates this from your previous albums outside of the literal time difference?
Yeah, I think like I was saying, it's been um, having complete control over it is something really new for us. We've been on a bunch of different labels. We started the band just ourselves in a basement, and we kind of like came back to that. We've been we've had managers, we've had labels, and we're now kind of at a point where we've been doing it so long that we decided to start self-managing our band. And yeah, just like kind of bring it back to the roots of the band, really, which is why do we do this? We do it because we love playing heavy music. We love playing live shows, and we're just grateful to still be able to do it.
Do you plan to stay self-produced for as long as Darkest Hour goes?
I don't know. I think I can't say. I know like we love doing it. We love having the kind of the control back of the band and being able to do whatever we want to do and the freedom that allows. But who knows?
But you were talking about your process and stuff of like, especially now that you're self-produced and you have to do everything. Like, what's the hardest part about like this new album, doing it all by yourself?
I think just getting everything to time, like the timing is tough. Getting making sure everything is lined up perfectly. We've been making our own videos for this album, and that's something that's kind of new for us. But it's also really rewarding because we're able to kind of, we can when we decide what the video is going to be about. It's a little more special for us. But really, yeah, like timing is crazy because you don't. I think when you put out a record, like when we were young, we didn't really think about things like when is this single going to drop, and like when does this video have to be submitted. So like we were getting ready. We were ending our last tour, and we're like, oh, we need to make a video. so we're like 2 weeks out from the end of the tour, and we're like, okay, well, we have this idea. Okay, well, we need to call this guy, and like whereas before we would have had a management team kind of pushing us to do that. I think that's been a challenge, but it's been fun too to just make everything line up right.
Speaking of those music videos, I watched them before this in preparing for this interview, and I just want to know, like, what was the vision about it? Like, Perpetual Terminal, the like the warrior princess, or I assume princess, I don't know, but the warrior lady like going into battle. Like, what made you decide that this is what the Perpetual Terminal music video will look like?
Well, we wanted to like kind of tell this story about you know like we had like a lot of different ideas about the video, and in the end we kind of settled on we just wanted to show the story of somebody who had been like defeated in a battle, kind of like rising up and getting back into the fight. And that was kind of like a theme that was going throughout the record, was this theme of rebirth and survival. It's the way that we've been able to continue doing this band for as long as we've been doing it. And you know, I was, I've always been kind of like a nerd about this kind of stuff and fantasy stuff, and I was like, man, if we're ever gonna have a song that has like this medieval warrior kind of vibe, I was like, it should be this song. And so like I actually live out in Germany now, and went out and found this castle that we shot at, and so we hired a guy here in Germany and an actress here in Germany, and it all kind of like came together in a really awesome way. It was super super fun to make. I was like, doing lights for that video.
Oh, really?
Yes, super fun.
Yeah. Also, Societal Bile, your other single from this album, it also has a music video. It's at least to me, it seemed a bit more literal.
Yeah.
So just obviously completely different, like with just Perpetual Terminal, you're telling a story, but what made you pick Societal Bile's music video?
Well, we wanted something like gritty and kind of gross, and we were thinking about like what kind of visuals could we have to like accompany the music, and I just kept thinking like, I don't know, just seeing some slime dumped on some people would be great. And we have a really good friend of ours who's done some video editing for us in Los Angeles. And, I hit him up and I was like, hey, you think you could find, again, it was kind of like on short notice. And I was like, yeah, do you think you could find somebody who wants to get slime dumped over his head? And he was like, yeah, let me check. And then like within an hour, he was like, yeah, yeah, I got some people. Um, so that video came together really quickly, like really organically and super fast, and we're, I love it. It's gross.
Yeah. Speaking of it, what made you decide to release it as a single alongside the title track Perpetual Terminal?
I think I really liked I really like how it's a really short song, and that's one of we for the releasing the first song, like for us that was kind of like we think of that song as like the career of the band in one song. Like it's a really long song. It has a lot of aspects, throughout the band's history, and all kind of like crammed into one song. And then we were like, okay, after this kind of like epic long song, we just want to like hit people with um, total face melter, like a super heavy one, and that seemed like the perfect. That was one that's like my favorite of the heavier songs on the album for sure.
So, I mean, obviously, like you picked these singles because you really wanted fans to know about them and especially just see them in their music videos. But, like, is there any song that's like maybe as of right now, it's technically a deep cut because it's not released, but you don't want to be a deep cut? Like, you want fans to know this, like, song number 11 or something.
Well, I mean the we're gonna do another single for a song called "One with the Void," and I think that's gonna be, I don't know, for me that's like that's a song that means a lot to me, and it really showcases a different part of the album. And I guess it's kind of a deep cut. It's around the middle of the album, and it has a lot of like different elements. It has a lot of clean, pretty singing, and also super heavy stuff. So we're gonna drop that one next as a single, and we're gonna try to get a video together before the tour comes out. But so that's one I'm really excited about. That one is means a lot to me.
But talking about how you said that this newer song, you said it would like describe more parts of the band. And how would you like describe your music to someone who's never heard you before? Maybe like doesn't even know the metal terms. Like what would you say?
Um, I guess I would say like when I try to describe it to like my wife's mom, who is an old Italian lady. I'm like, it's like you know a, rocks falling down and just a bunch of and then a bunch of like rah 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 rah. So I don't know, like that's how I describe it to people who are not familiar with metal. I'm like, yeah, it's really loud. It's really guitar. It's got a lot of crunchy, distorted guitars and a lot of screaming, but also a lot of emotion and feeling. So
So with your upcoming tour, it's in February into March, if I remember correctly, right?
yeah, and a
Yeah.
little of April too. It's a long one.
Oh yeah. So is there anything that you're like really excited to like play live, either like old songs that you've been playing live for a while that's just like your favorite, or anything off this new album?
Honestly, I'm really most excited to play the new stuff. I mean, we love playing the old stuff, but we've also played it many times. So
Yeah.
it's always kind of playing the new stuff is always just it has a different energy to it because it's stuff that we've never played before, and it's the old stuff. There's songs that we play that we've played literally thousands of times. So those ones are kind of like on autopilot sometimes, and it's always a really nice feeling when you have a new material to perform, and you don't really know how it's going to go. You don't know how people are going to react to it. That's always super exciting.
Yeah. Any like sneak peeks you can give us of the upcoming tour? Like maybe do you have a special like thing planned or
I can say it's going to be the longest set we've ever played.
oh, okay.
Um, so it's going to be, expansive. It's going to be over the whole entire catalog. Um, it's going to be kind of like segmented into moods, so that it's going to be, we're really putting a lot of thought into it, and how it feels and how it we just want to put on like a really special show for everybody, and we're obviously going to like showcase the new material a lot. So that's super exciting.
You said you were gonna like this is your longest set. Was there any particular reason for that?
I think we haven't done a really long tour like this in a while, and I mean, really, it's a matter of like how much material we have out. This is our 10th album, so we just have too many damn songs to pick from. There's like I don't know, now there's like a 120, 130 or something Darkest Hour songs. So the more albums we put out, the harder it is to kind of, because when we're creating the set, we're thinking like, well, we don't want to leave this out, we don't want to leave this out. So we're like, all right, just put it in. Well.
So I mean, like you said, you've been touring like plenty of times. You're finally back to like a really big tour. Like, what about tour life are you excited for?
I don't know. I love everything about it. Like I love performing and connecting with people, and there's just there's no other feeling in the world like getting up and screaming in front of people, and they're screaming back at you, and there's like this amazing energy exchange, and it's just this like super beautiful feeling. It's like super addictive, and you can, once you do that, it's really hard to like go back to normal life at home. So, but everything about, I love hanging out with my friends and playing music and meeting new people. It's a great life.
Is there anything about touring that you're like, oh man, now I have to do this again?
Um, yeah, we don't eat very well. So, so yeah, I kind of miss like eating nice, healthy, home cooked food. We eat a lot of like microwave burritos and just kind of so maybe that's the one. That's one of the downsides.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go ask a little more about like you personally. It's a little easier now that I only have one. Uh, what's something about like you, John Henry, that no one would ever guess?
That no one would ever guess. Huh. I can cook really good.
Hmm,
A lot of people don't know that.
I guess you
I'm
just don't get the chance on tour.
No, I don't. I mean, we have like a George Foreman grill on tour and a microwave, but yeah, I love to cook. I love like I do it, at home every day, where I'm always cooking food. That's one of my little side passions. So
Okay.
that's
Then
something.
would you like be a chef if you weren't doing music, or like what would you be doing?
Maybe, I don't know. My brother's a chef.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, and I've thought about it, but honestly, I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't doing music. Um, I'm kind of scared to think about that. 'Cause I don't want to do anything else. Like
Hmm.
that's it. This is the life I chose.
You never had like a different career thing as a kid, or
Not really, no. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would have wanted to be like a doctor. That'd be cool. You know,
yeah,
I like thinking about medicine. I like biology was probably my favorite course when I did like 1 year in college, and that was probably my favorite. So
never heard of a college student say they like biology.
yeah, that was my favorite. I don't know.
What about it where you were like, this is my thing?
I just think it's fascinating how like everything came together in the universe to make life on this planet. I think it's like crazy.
Oh, that's really cool. I guess that's
Yeah,
another thing no one would have guessed. I wouldn't have guessed that.
yeah. Biology's sick. Super metal. I got blood, skulls, skeletons, everything.
Well, yeah, I guess you're not squeamish, sure. But since you were talking about how like being a musician was really like your only path, like what do you like the most about it? Where you decided that that was your one and only career choice?
Um, I think the first time we did like a real tour, I was sold, and the first time we started traveling, I was really sold. Like the first time, we came to Europe, it was like 2001, I think, maybe 2002, and we I was just like, holy, I had never traveled outside of the country at that point. I mean, I had been to, I think we had played shows in Canada, but that's about it.
Mhm.
And I remember like, you know, getting to Europe and thinking like, man, how else would I have ever gotten here except for through music? And yeah, I think just the fact that it's allowed me to travel the world and, you know, see all these different cultures, all these different ways of life is something super, super special to me.
Well, that's great. Um, I mean, you're obviously a musician now. Like, what do you like least about it? There might be something where you're like, ooh, I don't enjoy that.
Um, I think lack of sleep is probably the worst part.
No, you skipped out on it in college, so it had to come and get you back.
Yeah, of course.
But you have been in the music industry for a while now, almost 30 years. So like you've obviously seen like the changes from the 90s to now. Do you have anything to say about that?
I mean, yeah, it's funny. Like, I did another interview and we were talking about how kind of like lucky we were to experience it back when we did. I mean, back then it was so incredibly different. We did our first tours and no one there was with the internet wasn't even really a thing, and none of us had cell phones, and we would drive to a city and have a phone number and go to a payphone and call someone, and they'd be like, all right, take this road and make a left at the Taco Bell, and then I'll be outside like waving you down. So we've really like been lucky to kind of like see the whole rise of the internet and its effect on the music industry and social media and everything. And a lot of it sucks. and but a lot of it is great because like there's you know the advances in recording, for example. Like, when we first started, there's no we could never imagine, like, we couldn't make proper recordings ourselves, whereas nowadays you have so many advancements in that. Like, we could make a record now just you know from our phones or something that sounds better than the first record that we paid some guy to record. So it's really just, I don't know, being able to like kind of see how everything's changed and navigated has been, kind of a really cool part of the journey.
Okay. Just again, being in the industry for so long, like you've probably at least figured out some of the ins and outs of it. Is there like a myth about the music industry that like the the average person believes that you know is not true that you'd like to bust?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of people think there's a lot of this glamour involved or something, or that like you're out there like partying all the time, and it's so wild and crazy, and like the reality is like you do have like a lot of fun times, and you play a lot of shows and you meet people, but there's so much downtime when you're on tour. You're talking about like you know 20 hours of the day are not exciting, and then maybe 4 hours of the day are exciting. So I think historically, a lot of people, when I would tell them, oh yeah, I play in a band and I tour and everything, they're like, oh man, it's so crazy. Like, you got any crazy tour stories? And while there are crazy tour stories out there, every time someone asks me that, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I went to this really nice Mexican restaurant and had an awesome burrito. Like that was really cool, you know. So it's not really like as glamorous as a lot of people make it out to be. It's a lot of people sitting around looking at their phones or something, you know.
Predicted my next question. I was gonna ask about a tour story.
Ah, well, there you go. You
It
know.
doesn't necessarily have to be crazy, you know, a lot of people have like more wholesome ones or something like that.
Um, yeah, you know, like my mind just goes blank anytime anyone ever asks me that. So I'll probably think of something like as soon as we hang up. I'll be like, damn it, I should have told this story. But I think it's just so much happens. Like it's like a I don't know. It's just kind
Mhm.
of sensory overload in a way.
Okay. Well, we you asked I asked you for advice earlier in this interview, but like, what advice have you gotten from like a musician that you really idolize, or even like your own peers who are around the same age and like league as you? What was the best advice you'd gotten from them?
I've gotten a lot of advice on like actually how to sing and how to scream. You know, I think I grew up just kind of you know when we were young, I was just like, oh, it's just screaming. You should just scream as hard as you can, and that's how you do it. And you know, I kind of like when like advice that I've got that really helped me was like, you know, you should kind of reel it in and think about control and you know practice it just like it's a guitar or drums or anything. And you know that was something that helped me a lot when I was younger. Was like thinking about my voice as like an instrument and taking care of it and you know not wearing it out. um, so yeah, I would say protect your instrument, you know, don't wear it out.
Okay. I actually kind of wanted to learn how to scream, so I'll take that to heart.
There's a lot more resources out there now than there were when I was starting. It's really nice. It's really cool. There's a lot of people that are getting into the science behind it, um, the
The
biology,
biology.
you know, exactly, because there really is. Yeah, and so it's really interesting. Like you know, I'll meet people who know more about it than I do, and I'll be like, "Oh, what kind of scream am I doing?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it's like this kind of scream mixed with this kind of scream." I'm like, "All right, sweet."
So, like, how did you learn how to scream?
I just did it over and over again, and I did it wrong for a really long time, and then you know I started around like our, I guess it was around like '07 or '08. We did a record called Deliver Us, and I went to see a vocal coach named Alyssa Cross, who is super well known in that field, and she kind of taught me a lot about not running out of breath, you know, about control. And we also were doing uh, records with this guy Devin Townsend, who was producing us, and he was teaching me a lot about that. And yeah, it's really just a lot about control and not pushing. You know, you can, if you push it 60% versus 100%, you can really kind of like control your voice a lot better. That was something that really was a kind of a game changer for me.
But you said it was Deliver Us? That was your sixth album, I believe? So you're saying for the first five albums you were screaming wrong?
Yes, 100%. Just doing it as hard as I could, and you know, not thinking about the technicality of it
No.
like at all. So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much. Unless, do you have anything else to say that you want WSOU listeners to know about?
You know, we've been listening to WSOU for a long time. So it's really cool to do this interview. I remember, you know, we would always, you know, we're from the East Coast. We would always drive up the East Coast and come to play New York City, and we'd be like, "Oh, we're in the range of WSOU, like let's put it on, and then you hear like some crazy metal or something, and it was like, oh man, we're hearing like this, you know, Cannibal Corpse or something on the radio, like it's like so we've always been a fan of the station. So thanks to all the listeners, and thanks to you guys for keeping it going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the station and the listeners are definitely fans of you.
And we're fans of them. And all
All right. Thank you so much.